Ladies and gentlemen, this is the state of the scene.
Yo, what the fuck is up, Warp Tour? The state of the scene at SOTS Podcast on all social media. Sam here with Marcos.
Hi.
Yo, how was your 4th of July?
It had everything, bro.
Mm-hmm.
No fireworks,
Okay.
no barbecue.
These are things it didn't have. These can't be. You can't say these are things I had and then list things that weren't there. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't, bro. Who's really out here celebrating 4th of July anymore? What are we doing?
Insurrectionists, I suppose. Or maybe they hate the country more than the rest of us, considering they tried to overthrow it. Who loves 4th of July? People who enjoy hot dogs, I suppose. They're having a big day. They're really living it.
They're not though. They're not because
Why's that?
you don't even have like the LeBron James of hot dog eating out there.
Joey C?
Joey C.
JC?
Yeah, he's not even allowed
The
to compete because he's vegan now or some shit.
Yeah, that's crazy. Though I feel like if I ate 24,000 hot dogs, it might turn me vegan as well. I'd probably be like, I've done enough damage
Right.
to this universe. I crossed a line somewhere around hot dog number 12,006.
Did you watch any of the highlights? I watched a dude.
The highlights?
Yeah, I watched a guy like
Stephen A. Smith
chug-
break down like the hot dog competition?
chug a lemonade and like a gallon of lemonade in like 27 seconds.
I suppose I would want a lemonade if I was eating a hot dog. That does check out. Though I always picture them drinking water. Because they do that thing where they take the hot dog bun and then they throw it in the water and like make it all
No, it's always
mushy.
been lemonade.
Is it? It's always been lemonade?
Imagine though.
I feel like it would taste better. Like really
It might.
sugary bread.
Might.
Assuming there's a version of soggy bread. I had a sausage like roll yesterday from like a pizza place. And by the time DoorDash got it to the house and I like popped it open, the bread was like so disgustingly soggy. I was like, do you people not know how to make a sandwich? Like this isn't real. Like you can't.
What happened? Did you have to eat
Like
it
what am I
still?
like? I picked it up and it like collapsed in my hands. Like it's just like if like it fell through my fingers like fucking sand. It's like I didn't even know what to do with it.
Maybe they pre-water dunked it for you.
Do you think that's what they did? They were trying to get. It was like, oh, it's 4th of
This
July,
guy's
he must
clearly trying to eat
He's
as
competing.
many hot dogs
He's
as he
competing,
can.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Fuck, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, the scene. So, we're gonna do what we do every episode. We'll discuss some smaller news topics before we jump into data discourse, patron questions, and then get into the real news. And then we'll review a couple albums and get the fuck out of here, Marcus. This week we got some early birds. Speed, Australian hardcore band, very hot right now. Very hot right now. We got that album early, and we're here to discuss it, as well as another Australian band. Crazy the way that played out. In Heart's Wake.
2 Aussies.
2 bands. Same content going head to head in
What's
1 week.
What's the chant? Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, that's correct. Blah, blah, blah. Or some
Well.
silliness. Have you been, this is another tangent. That's what we do on this show. Here's another tangent.
Boy, are we ready.
You been keeping up with soccer at all?
No.
Okay, that's unfortunate because I was really hoping you could tell me. Wait, is Australia even competing? This isn't the World Cup. Maybe it's just the Euro Cup, actually. Does Australia get it? Does
I mean, the Olympics are going on. I don't
the
know if
Olympics are happening right now?
Do they do soccer?
Anything crazy? No, there's like a soccer thing that's separate from the Olympics,
Fuck.
I believe. I really don't know. Have you watched any of the Olympics?
No, I haven't.
Is the hot dog eating
No,
competition
the Olympics
part of
aren't
the
like
Olympics?
officially live yet, but like,
Oh, they're not live?
I don't know.
So why'd you say it with
I
such
don't know.
confidence
I don't
earlier?
know.
You're like, the Olympics are happening.
No one's beating any records. No one's winning anything. So
When was the last time anyone beat a record? Has that happened?
it's happening.
Is it happening all around us?
Connecticut Attorney General William Tong, 5 words I never expected to say on this podcast.
Yeah.
Is launching an investigation into the disastrous Capulet Fest, which we discussed on last week's SOTS Deluxe episode.
Patreon.com/SOTS podcast if you want access to that. Only $3 a month.
That ended up being a disaster. The final day got canceled.
Not the episode.
It was
the fest.
well,
the episode was great.
Initially a 3-day event taking place at a larger outdoor venue that offered parking on site, camping on site, reduced to
what you would expect when you see the word festival.
A venue that's like 2,000 cap in one of Hartford's like suburb areas that does not really offer on-site parking, does not really offer camping grounds of any means.
And again, we got into that, but with all that being said, essentially they tried to like slap together a last minute same version of the festival with a lot of the bands, but a vast majority of them dropped out, so they ended up with a sort of like a FA version of the festival that they had originally created, and Sunday got canceled entirely, and then Capulet deleted all their social media and probably flew to another country to like without extradition to avoid what is happening right now.
I mean, Friday's the date that fell apart the least, but I really think the only reason
it was like August Burns Red was still there, Bless the Fall was still there.
It happened on such short notice that at that point, probably all those bands were already there. So they were like, fuck it, let's just do it and move on.
Saturday had some bands who were like halfway there.
And then Sunday
were like, fuck it, no.
All those bands, like, looking at the GPS, they're still like 16 hours away. They're like, all right, well, what else is around?
Or, like, what do you want to do?
But yeah, you're right. I mean, listen, this guy's going to be looked into, investigated, and we'll see. We'll see if there will
trial.
We'll live to see another Capula Fest. We'll see.
We'll be 25 episodes from now. We'll be reading court documents about all this. Marcus, Kerrang TV has officially ended after 23 years on air due to budget cuts. What do you know about Kerrang TV?
The most surprising thing, being a U.S. resident, independent.
Whereas the British, they're obviously under a monarchy.
Right, yes. Is that Kerrang TV was a thing that aired on television?
Yeah, so apparently this was some sort of like, MTV2-ish type beat where like you can go and watch music videos, and maybe they had like talk shows and stuff. I don't know. I was actually super surprised at how I posted this like over on our social media at SOTS Podcast, and the engagement was crazy. People were like, it shaped my life. If bands were fucking retweet, Ender Shikari is like, it changed the face of music forever and all this shit. And I was like, God damn, I didn't know Kerrang TV was that important. Then I was trying to think like, what was the like closest version of this we had over here in America? And like MTV2 kind of like, we never had anything that felt scene specific in the way that I suppose Kerrang TV must have been. But like MTV2, I know would have like a like, I want to say like Steven's Untitled Rock Show was on like MTV2 and shit.
I mean, Headbangers Ball.
Headbangers Ball, sure, that's a good point. That's like metal specific, but that comes close enough, I guess. And then I kind of started to get sad because it was like, man, Kerrang TV lasted so much longer than it had any right to. If we're talking about like a TV show that airs music videos, that's
more
staggering.
Surprised at how late of a start it got. 2001 feels like not.
That doesn't feel crazy. Why does that feel crazy?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like most of the time you hear about like a music video related thing that we're probably talking like early 90s or late 80s.
2001 is like Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance, and like,
I'm saying it was a late start,
like really early kind of shit. No, I feel like it's right on time. Like if we're talking scene, it's right on time. Scene didn't exist pre-2000.
Do you think
there was no scene in the 90s?
What do you think? Ultimately, like, I know budget cuts,
sure,
but like, does COVID extend this?
No. What would COVID do to this?
Or did COVID like expedite this whole collapse?
You're saying maybe more people were at home watching Kerrang TV? Yeah. Because no, fucking YouTube expedited the fuck out of this.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm surprised it was still around today.
Yeah, that's the part I don't understand either. Like, something tells me that like the budget for it had to be so incredibly minimal that they could just sort of like leave it there and nobody noticed. And then finally somebody was tasked with like saving an extra $85 every week, and they were like, all right, Kerrang TV, you had a good fucking run. I'm sorry, y'all. King for a Day by Pierce the Veil has officially gone 2 times multi-platinum in the U.S., Marcos. Biggest song never come out of the scene, period. I don't think anyone else has even reached close to 2 times multi-platinum. I don't even know how many that is. I assume that's got to be 2 billion. Like a platinum for me is 1 billion, and then this would be 2 billion.
Maybe. And that's the song to do it.
King for a Day would be the track.
Songs. Pretty cool. Big congrats.
A lot of people saying unjustly so. Got the TikTok push. Right? Like, is it fair? Like, everyone who came before who didn't get, well, technically this came out before TikTok, so I guess any song can become TikTok viral, right?
It can.
It doesn't matter when it comes out. I guess it's completely irrelevant. Next song to go 2-time multi-platinum, Marcos, call it right now.
Can You Feel My Heart if it hasn't already?
Can You Feel My Heart? That's a good one. That's an absolute
another song with the TikTok push.
I'm gonna go with what's that Lorna Shore song?
Into the Hellfire. Into the Hellfire.
Yeah, into the Hellfire. Yeah, that's correct. That'll be the one. I think it's gonna make like another TikTok comeback. Like people are gonna really start to like remember how cool these fucking screams were in 2001, and they're gonna fucking bring it back
to 2021.
They're gonna start. Yeah, they're gonna start feeling nostalgic for the 2021s. They can start feeling for like that era of deathcore that's like over and done with now. Crazy that Lorna Shore has only had like a fucking one full-length album since they got Will Ramos, because I feel like that era feels like it's lasted longer than any other Lorna Shore era that I was aware of.
They've been milking this painter
they really have.
Thing, I think. Yeah.
Enough. Get back in the studio with your lazy asses. As always, every link you need is in the description of this episode, including our socials, playlist, merch, and Discord. Subscribe to us on YouTube at SOTS Podcast YT, and leave a thumbs up if you're watching the video version of the podcast. Comment below and let us know the next song to go 2 times multi-platinum out of the scene. Maybe there's something I'm not thinking of. I don't know. Chime in. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave 5 stars. We're like less than 30 reviews away from having like 700 reviews on Spotify, which is like insane to me because like I don't see a lot of podcasts with that many fucking reviews out there, and y'all really came to bat for us. So like I need you last 30 lazy fucking stragglers to get in there.
Be part of the first 700.
Leave 5 stars. And then, I'll never ask you for anything ever again, I swear. Data Discourse this week. A discussion broke out, Marcos, around stage invasions, right? Specifically in regards to Outbreak Festival and whether they were cringe, necessary, cool, etc., etc. Now, if you don't know what Outbreak Festival is, it's based in the UK. And this year's lineup included Poison the Well, Thursday, American Football, JPEG Mafia, Movements, Touche Amore, Basement, and many more. So it's a weird fucking assortment of bands. One individual on Twitter, Marcos, shared a video of American Football, and during their performance, they were swarmed by fans. Marcos, invaded, if you will. And there was a lot of discussion in general, just people talking about like, why is anyone upset about stage invasions? Or like, this is kind of dumb. Can we knock this shit off? Connie from CU Space Cowboy chimed in. It should happen at every show. Nothing feels better than getting piled on top of by people screaming your songs, Marcos. I need your hot take. Stage invasions. Cool? Not cool.
When you brought up the word stage, like when the topic of stage invasions was presented to me, I was thinking bands. It's like, okay, cool. Like, final show of the tour, all bands on the bill are invading the stage, and 7 people are playing bass and 3 people are drumming on the same set.
I actually hadn't considered that at all. That's interesting that was your perspective.
And that's where I thought you were going with this. And to learn it's fans, fuck that, not cool.
You say fuck fans? You say fans can't jump on stage and hang out with bands?
I am anti-fun. We know this. It's been way established. I
shouldn't have even asked you. You're right. I'm setting myself up for failure.
This is a bad look. No, I don't know. I just don't like this. I don't know.
What don't you like about it?
I want to see like the 5 people I paid to see.
You got to earn being up on that stage, is what you're saying? Yeah.
I'm fine with like the wall of people on the side.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
I don't know if I want like 28 people on stage.
I like the energy. I just like the idea that like it's lawless. You know what I mean? It's like the second the band starts playing, anything can fucking happen. The mosh pit opens up. People are running on stage. People are doing backflips into the crowd. Like, I like that level of energy. I like to witness that level of energy. I don't like to be a part of it, but I do enjoy witnessing it.
Like, if it's stage diving, that's fine, but you're making it sound like there's 12 people just sort of hovering. That shouldn't be.
There's a little bit of that as well. I'm not saying everyone who gets up on stage is really cool and fun about it. Some people just kind of get up there and vibe for a little bit, and clearly they need to get the fuck back off the stage because they're not bringing anything to the general like entertainment value of what's happening. But like the idea of it in theory is very fun. I think it should actually be encouraged.
I want to watch performers perform.
I think we need to get more dangerous, honestly. I just think we need to get more dangerous. I need things to start happening. Like, I want to go to a show and I want to be like, I don't know what the fuck could happen tonight. Like, anything could fucking happen tonight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so tired of bands being like, go ahead, split this room in half. Yeah, a couple more minutes here. Yeah, okay, that looks good. Let's kick it into the breakdown. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the performative aspects of it. I I need more random energy happening. I need somebody to rip the mic out of somebody's hand. Even if it's theoretically worse for the song, I think there's entertainment value there.
I don't know if I agree.
Everybody get on your knees. No, stop. This is 30 seconds I set aside to address the fact that I'm going to be selling merch after the show. No, I need something exciting to start happening at shows. They become too perfunctory. Everybody's too comfortable. I want somebody performing up on that stage like a mic's going to get ripped out of their heads at any moment. I want you clutching it to your chest. Or I want you up there like Adam Lazara, swinging it around your head, taking people out one by one. You know what I mean? Just like pawns, just knocking them out. Defending yourself. Can't believe you hate everything fun. If you want to support the show, consider becoming a patron for exclusive content, the ability to submit questions, and producer credits on all of our video content. Marcus, patrons also receive access to bonus podcasts, SOTS Deluxe. On this week's Deluxe, we talk, you guessed it, movies, because fuck all happened this week. It was brutal, y'all. It was like Wednesday at 3, and I was like, somebody post a fucking song, please. Somebody. We take Thursday off. We don't take the whole fucking week off. This is nuts. And then, Friday rolled around and we got a few songs, but like not quite enough. So I thought, hey, let's do something fun. Let's talk about some films. Marcus, you and I saw A Quiet Place, day 1, the other day. And I've been watching a ton of fucking movies on my own with my fiance, and I thought maybe we would have some discussions about them. If that's cool with you, if that's cool with the audience, they don't really have a choice. I'm assuming they're going to be cool with it. But I'm going to make it fun. And you're going to get to hear us talk about something we don't regularly talk about, Marcos. Also, patrons can submit suggestions for our weekly YouTube show, Ranking the Scene. On this week's Ranking the Scene, YouTube exclusive show airing every Wednesday night on our YouTube channel. We bring albums from Taking Back Sunday, Jimmy Eat World, and Saves the Day. Marcos, I asked for quintessential emo albums, and our patrons delivered. And you're going to get to hear what we think of them, Marcos. But before that, show in a couple of days, you get this podcast, Marcus, and these questions from our patrons. Matthew asks, did you guys hear the new Hot Mulligan song? If so, how'd you feel about it?
I did.
I did as well. I can't remember the fucking name of it because Hot Mulligan's been naming their songs the most, I guess, since their inception. Fucked up, fucking algorithmically impossible to remember type beat. But I remember enjoying this.
The song?
I remember it had a decent video. Yeah, I didn't like it as much as fucking the one before it. It was called like Brian or some shit.
No, I like this way more than Brian.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I've got a weird relationship with Hot Mulligan where
it's complicated.
If there's not like an album on the horizon, I just sort of clock out as far as paying attention to them.
I do that with a lot of bands. I understand. It's like I need it to be leading up to, and so much of it is predicated on the show as well, where it's like I need a lot of news around news to discuss it.
I agree, but like it's different. It's specific to Hot Mulligan. I can't explain it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's unfortunate for Hot Mulligan. But at least you did check out the song.
I did.
So it's not like a full stop. Susan asks, y'all talk about how you rarely make it out to shows. So what's one show you're actually planning on going to in the second half of this year? Essentially, what band is getting you hyped for live music?
That's a very like 2024 thing. This is
what
like,
do you mean?
No, like Susan's saying it's like we've never gone to shows before. Like, no, this is this year that we have toned it way back.
I feel like if I'm a new listener, like if I'm Susan and like I just started listening to this podcast, I'm like, do these guys even fucking like the scene?
We don't.
They hate music.
We don't.
They hate going to shows. They hate when people stage invade. Fucking miserable. Like I don't even know, how are they in charge of this scene?
Listen, we're just a little bitter.
We're like we inherited this. Like we're two kids who inherited our father's business, but like we're not really into it. Like you want to be a doctor and I want to fucking like sail ships or something.
Sail ships.
Yeah, but we got to go into work every day and like manage this oil company. We've become perfunctory. Marcos, show you're looking forward to. I got one.
No more of that word today.
I can't say
it's over.
I can't say the P word no more.
Yeah, P word's done today.
Fuck. Hey, I want to see Static Trust real bad. I was talking to you the other day. I'm like, I should probably pick up these Under Oath tickets like before they sell out, and I'm going to before they sell out. Waiting to get my money up.
You're seeing a band soon.
North Lane.
Yeah.
And the thing about that North Lane show was Wind Waker's opening, and that's another band that like I really need to catch live.
That is the draw right now for me is like if it's a can't miss bill top to bottom, I'm going to that show.
Yeah, it's got to be perfect.
I don't think there's
now.
been like a lot of that this year. That bill, all Australian bands or some shit. It's perfect. I need to see it.
Australia is sadly not Speed or In Heart's Wake.
No. The rest of Australia.
Another show that I was looking at, like I was side-eyeing a little bit, was that we talked about it last week, that Palo Royale headliner with Icy Stars. I was like, Icy Stars will get me out to a show just about every time. And to have them come by and be theoretically miss them just feels like something I can't live with myself.
And I have a hard time seeing us miss like the summer school dropout tour or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that one's pretty loaded too, as a matter of fact. Talking about like stacked lineups.
You're seeing Blink.
Oh yeah, I am seeing Blink-182. That's a good point.
This month?
And 2 times multi-platinum scene champions Pierce the Veil. It is this month, yes. In like Jersey or New York. I can't remember. You're not invited. Skeletor asks, who are the 3 weekend headliners you choose for your dream music festival? I'm gonna start
Enter Shikari.
Okay. That's your one.
That's where I'm going to go. Just because I want to experience the actual headlining festival set from Enter Shikari. We haven't. It's just been really extremely intimate venues that they've performed in front of us in the States.
Right. This is an outdoor festival, obviously.
Right. So Enter Shikari. And then I'm probably going to go with like... I haven't seen it before. I want to see Fall Out Boy. Like that's your other headliner.
Oh shit, I've never seen Fall Out Boy either. That's crazy.
Right.
Good pick.
Third and last headliner. I don't know.
Think about it. Take a moment.
People probably aren't going to love this one, but A Day to Remember is like a festival band to me.
They are a festival band. I won't disagree with you.
That's who I'd want to see headline a festival.
Okay, my turn.
Self-help style.
21 Pilots. Loving Clancy right now. Never seen that band live. Would absolutely love to catch them once. Okay, and then two more,
just 2
bands. I'm gonna go My Chemical Romance again.
Wow, you're going full emo Trinity because you're gonna say
I'm not
Paramore
going
last.
Full emo Trinity. I'm gonna relax. And Paramore because I've never seen them live. Alex asks, imagine you can Thanos snap a record or era from an artist/band's discography. Just erase it from history, as if it never happened, and there was just a longer gap between releases. Who would you go with? And retrospectively stop from dropping a flop, with the caveat that it can't be a most recent release to avoid negative recency bias. Marcus, you have the opportunity. You're looking at a band's discography. You're like, I can fix this band if I could just erase this fucking album from history. Like, I could save...
I'm not worried about the bands. I'm worried about the fans.
I could save a fandom.
Or
from
destroy
tragedy.
One.
Or destroy one. I really like this
Iowa by Slipknot. Good fucking buy.
Are you kidding me?
Yep. Every time I bring up that Slipknot is mid, everyone's just like, this fucking idiot hasn't listened to Iowa before. What if Iowa never existed? Now what? You're going to tell me this fucking idiot's never listened to what, Sam? The Great Chapter .265 or some shit? It's over.
This is insane energy.
Bye.
Insane
Good
energy.
night.
Oh, you're not going to be so violent about it. Oh, you bought me a lot of time right there, and I was trying to think of like what the right band was, and I'm struggling.
My other answer's My Chem. Get Danger Days the fuck out of here.
Dude, Jesus.
Permanently.
Bro. Okay, so we just would have gone like 25 years without a single My Chem song?
Yeah, but imagine like
do we still get the demos?
Stuff you still get the demos.
So we get the original version of Danger Days. So you're just like Danger Days.
Ooh, interesting. And then they come back with the one song. You're just like, band's still fucking perfect. Still perfect. Never missed.
I feel like we've been going big like emo Trinity lately, and I'm trying to think of like maybe a smaller band like outside of that. I'm trying to think of someone who's just like disappointed me so like drastically. And the first band that comes to mind would be like Parkway Drive, but like one album isn't enough. Like like I need to hard stop that band after Ire.
Forcing a hiatus.
Yeah, like I really need to like I need to hard stop them. Like we could go no further from here.
The initial
Parkway
band
Drive.
I thought of was Upon a Burning Body.
Wow.
Imagine getting to stop them at Red, White, Green.
Skate Park or whatever the newest song was.
I didn't.
It's bad.
It is
bad.
Really?
That band just has like, they don't know. They just like, they're so identity confused or lost right now. All of their songs just feel like a random roll of the dice, hoping that something sticks, and nothing seems to ever quite do it. They were supposed to be a Capula Fest. I actually ended up dropping off.
That band getting the TikTok hit was one of the more surprising ones that ever happened. What fucking
TikTok hit that Upon a Burning Body?
Resentment.
Stop.
Which was off of like one of the newer EPs.
Stop.
Yeah, and it did it was on a lot of sounds. Like, it was a sound on a lot of TikToks, rather.
Cold World by Of Mice and Men.
Oh my God, perfect.
Get your ass the fuck out of here forever.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on. Andrew asks, listen to one for the rest of your life. Pop punk or metalcore? Don't think about it.
Metalcore.
Metalcore. Caillou asks, would you rather have to listen to only King 810 forever but have your life stay the same as it is currently, or would you rather be on a deserted island with only Bad Omens to listen to? Deserted Island, Bad Omens.
Right. Would I rather continue to work this 9 to 5 that I have listening to King 810 on like the 1 hour commute I have both ways? It's Bad Omens on a desert island where all I have to do is fucking throw spears at fish in the ocean.
I get a coconut. I put a little balaclava over him. I just call him Noah. Take him with me everywhere.
Perfect. It's the dream.
Chris W. asks, with it being 2 months away from release time, how do you feel about Sundiver? Might it hold up compared to the rest of Boston Manor's catalog? So far, based on the singles, it might wind up being a personal top 3. That's what Chris feels like. What do you feel like, Marcos?
I don't know yet.
You got a good feeling or not?
Right now, I don't think any of the singles have spoken to me as much as the Datura ones.
Container?
Foxglove.
All right. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like we have parity.
I'm 1 for 1 for 1 for 1. That's 1v1ing it.
We have parity is kind of what I'm saying.
And I was just thinking the other day, like, nothing will ever touch Welcome to the Neighborhood.
Oh, nothing will ever touch Welcome to the Neighborhood. Yeah, it's fine.
But
Blue's
like,
pretty good too.
But like, talk about like cracking a personal top 3 at that point. Like, there's some actual competition.
Yeah, like I really need to be surprised by the songs that I haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
Katarina DW asks, do you have any recommendations for Japan-based artists? Pale Dusk is the first one that comes to mind.
It's Cult for me. It'll always be Cult.
Cult. That's a C.
Cult is the most underrated Japanese band.
They're really cool, but I feel like
right now, because I feel like Pale Dusk have gotten a bunch of due credit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like
Cult has not gotten that
like
same
Cult
due
songs
credit.
Like haven't really fully clicked for me in a way that I was like.
Because you're stupid.
It's because I'm stupid, obviously.
Duh.
As always, the news is brought to you by Shibori Threads, the clothing label of the alternative music scene.
The news.
Waterparks have released new single "Fuck About It 2" featuring Zeph. This track is a reimagining of the original Fuck About It featuring Black Bear from the band's most recent album, Intellectual Property. The song will feature on the upcoming Intellectual Property 2, which is being touted as a companion record to the original. A release date is yet to be confirmed. Intellectual Property 2 will also presumably mark the band's first independent release since separating with Fueled by Ramen after just one album. Waterparks marks the second band this year to move on from the label after just one record following Nothing Nowhere, who departed after the release of 2023 album Void Eternal. Zeph is a singer-songwriter and producer from Maryland. She currently holds over 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify, with her most popular track, Could You Love Me While I Hate Myself, exceeding 176 million streams. In an interview with Adobe Radio in 2023 in the lead up to the release of her debut full-length album Character Development, Zeph spoke to the inspiration she drew from Austin Night as an electrifying stage presence during her tour with Waterparks, saying, quote, "The way Austin would yell the lyrics or even change them up to interact with the crowd inspired me to be more deliberate with how my own lyrics would play on stage," unquote. Waterparks currently stand at 1.4 million monthly listeners on Spotify. The band continues to avoid any questions in regards to allegations that drummer Otto Wood is a serial killer.
Shameful.
Marcos, thoughts on the new song?
Pretty cool.
Ish.
Pretty cool. Sadly, almost better than Fuck About It.
I think it is better than Fuck About It.
Which for me is sad, because a song by Waterparks featuring Black Bear should be the best Waterparks song in my opinion.
In theory, I think part of the problem is that like we got like the early wave of like pop punk Black Bear, and it was like really exciting. And I think maybe Fuck About It sort of came on the tail end of when the whole pop punk movement that Black Bear was kind of like a part of with like MGK and Huddy and all this other shit lost its luster a bit. You know what I mean? Which is probably why the song also didn't take off in the way that you would think it would have. So I feel like now we have a much more experimental version of this that I find 10 times more interesting with a video that is incredibly compelling.
Yeah, turns out Zeph is a pretty cool, promising artist who's doing very well.
Zeph's not only promising, but they're streamed more monthly than Waterparks. So to their credit, they're extremely popular.
Yeah, and that seems like when you tell me that Waterparks right now is only at 1.4 monthly listeners, that is a bad number. Coming off of Fueled by Ramen, which is why it makes sense that they've left that label.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Marcos.
Yeah.
Why is it that Fueled by Ramen adopted up-and-coming artists who were incredibly hot at the time that they were picked up by the label, only to seemingly
cool them right off,
be able to push them into the stratosphere in the way that you would assume? And I would argue currently they're fumbling that same ball with A Day to Remember. And I'm trying to understand why it is that they're struggling so much when it feels like they've been teed up so things would be as easy as humanly possible for them.
They've been handed great songs. Like, that is a great Waterparks album. That is Nothing Nowhere's best album, and Void Eternal. These are all good tracks.
Slow down. Best album's a little strong.
By Void Eternal?
Void Eternal's very good, but I prefer the album prior to that.
Which was?
The name escapes me right at this like.
You're so funny, dude.
I just have like the worst memory for words, but I remember feelings, and I felt a little stronger about the album prior to Void Eternal, even though I was quite fond of Void Eternal.
Sure.
Regardless.
Sure.
All that being said, it'll come to me.
So right now, Fueled by Ramen's disappointing a little bit as far as bands in our scene.
Yeah.
Don't know what that's all about.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Lizzie, you got fucking Waterparks, and you got Nothing Nowhere, who was coming hot off that one album, fucking good ass album too.
Which was
Trauma Factory, good ass fucking album. Absolutely love that fucking album, Marcos.
Oh, yeah.
Trauma Factory is very
Void
good.
Eternal was better.
This isn't about Nothing Nowhere. This isn't about Nothing Nowhere. This is about how Fueled by Ramen can't seem to manage a fucking great band. I don't understand what the problem is here.
What else are you looking for out of this companion piece?
Oh, I really don't know. I'm really confused by this new thing bands are doing. Enter Shikari's A Kiss for the fucking Universe or whatever dropped today too, which is a companion piece to A Kiss for the Whole World. And I'm still sort of perplexed by the naming convention, because for me it really just feels like a deluxe with new songs, though these are
fancy new ways of selling a deluxe, and I'm actually appreciative of it.
Right, like I don't hate it, like but I don't know how to meld expectations around it. You know what I mean? It's like I thought Intellectual Property 2 was going to kind of be like 10 new songs, and then I realized that this is a reworking kind of Fuck About It.
Concrete Jungle was a companion piece as well, from what I can tell.
That's actually a good point. Concrete Jungle was a companion piece. So I don't know. Are you saying that I should have enough information at this point to work with, that I should know what my expectations are for it? I guess.
Sure.
I guess I'm slightly disappointed because I would rather we just move into the phase of a new album. I don't feel like I need a companion piece. I think I would have been happier with a new Bad Omens album. I would have been happier with a new Waterparks album. Something that feels more cut and dry for me. It's just like, this is the next one.
I don't know. I really like...
and I'll take an extra 6 months of waiting to get it.
The couple of Waterparks tracks we've gotten as a result of this.
Yeah, they're very good. But what I'm saying is that I feel like we could have gotten a little quickie deluxe version, and then we move on to the next era. Personally. Like, I don't feel the need to, like, do this extension, like, I don't feel that... You asked my opinion on it. I don't feel the need for it. I'm enjoying... Like, I'm not going to be... I'm grateful for what I'm giving. I really like this new fucking Fuck About It 2 shit. It's cool. Video is insane, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the trippiest fucking Unreal Engine shit before we just like cut to like an apartment with like 2 windows, and like Zeph's in one and then Austin's like in the other, and they're kind of like sing-songing to one another. It's very trippy. It's all very neat. It really fucks with your head in a lot of cool ways. And Waterparks have always had like such an insane eye for visuals. They're almost like the visual like always has, it's like mandatory that it be as good as whatever song that they're delivering. And I just don't understand how you take a visionary like that and like you're fucking fueled by ramen and you're like, we tried.
How do you let them walk?
We tried. What are you going to do? Waterparks, nothing nowhere. Hottest bands in the scene. We'll, maybe then we'll get them next time, boys. Yeah, that's all I really got for this one. Would like a date on this. Would like to understand if Otto Wood is going to prison or not. But other than that, that's all.
Betting odds right now for the next Waterparks album being called Otto Wood as a serial killer.
Ooh, as a concept album, I would be disgustingly in love with that idea.
It would be fun.
And I feel like Waterparks is always pseudo conceptual, but for them to like really lean into something, kind of like we got with that Garden EP a while back, which is just kind of like about a serial killer in the neighborhood. Absolutely, I would go crazy.
This concept album or this companion piece would have been the perfect place to actually do it.
Launch a fucking true crime podcast around it, like build it around the idea that it's a true crime podcast. Starset have dropped new song Degenerate.
No one's safe. Down, 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 down. It's a race to the bottom. They fall round and round and circle the drain. Some hit 'em with a tidal wave.
This marks the band's second new single this year following the release of May's Brave New World. The music video was made utilizing AI, but with a noted twist. The band proclaims they paid artists to create a video of AI slop as a way to condemn the faux artistic style and its societal implications. Marcus Dustin Bates was quoted on Instagram answering a fan, "We paid a team of artists thousands of dollars to utilize this tool that enabled the manifestation of new ideas." Marcus vocalist Dustin Bates confirms the AI art is being used ironically, but says this time, leaving some sort of like nebulous confusion as to whether the artist's stance on the medium is entirely black and white. The band will embark on the Immersion the Final Chapter tour later this August through September. Starset currently holds 2.7 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Starset, another band I need to see live. I need to fucking see this band live.
So,
yeah.
I kind of
want to start with the AI shit. I know.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Of course I do.
The video was one of the most horrific things I've ever fucking watched.
It
was like my eyes were glued to the screen, and the whole time I was thinking, I don't want to be watching this.
I had to at some point look away, realizing how distracting this video was.
Right, like you weren't hearing the song; you were just looking at the video.
Exactly.
I feel you.
I guess I'm most curious the actual angle that the band came in when it came to paying these artists. In that, did they realize it was ironic, or did they think they were just like, oh, another band's working with us, like let's fucking go, really legitimizing the AI art business, and the whole time Starset's just like, yeah, I mean, we got a budget for this, so we're just gonna blow it. But like, can you make Abraham Lincoln scrolling an iPhone eating a burger like?
And like eating a burger is putting it lightly. Like everybody is making like sexual fucking mouth noises with burger.
Yeah,
like it's just like it's the most like grotesque thing. Like everyone is like shoving hot dogs into their like nose and stuff. Like I hated watching everything food related in this video. But you're right. There's like there's like a weird disconnect, I suppose, with the idea that like you're utilizing AI to prove the point that it's pointless, but you're paying AI artists to provide you something that is convincing enough to show your point. Like it's you're sort of lost like in layers of meta here.
And are the AI artists like in on the joke? Are they completely outside?
I found that AI artists seem to not be in on anything and sort of live in this like fantasy world where they think they like matter or are important or are doing something creative or useful. But
now, as far as AI being utilized by the band, like,
do you think they successfully made a point?
Yes, and I would want it to be Starset who does that. Does that make sense? Because we've already been, grappling with the future of the universe with all of our other like work.
On their Instagram post, people made that same point. It's like, hey, Starset have been trying to make this overall point about how like technology is like consuming all of us and so on and so forth, right? So this is clever of them in some aspect, though. You still have a lot of pushback from people who are just like, hey, we shouldn't be engaging with this period. And any band
there's
who
the morality
so,
angle for sure.
You know what's crazy is this came out the same week that we had another band drop a video that was completely forward, like a straight version of it, like that doesn't acknowledge AI use as being ironic, in Limp Bizkit, who just made like a video of like Fred Durst like transforming into a lot of like famous figures over the course of a video while their new song plays in the background.
I didn't realize Limp Bizkit were back with a new song.
Limp Bizkit, I feel like, are back with a new song every like 12 to 14 months, and it just kind of like bounces off of me.
No, they weren't though, because weren't they on like a
Dad
hiatus
Vibes? You
for
remember?
like,
I mean, they were on like a hiatus.
But prior to
like,
Dad Vibes,
in the last like 3 to 4 years since they came back.
Sure.
I think. I don't know. I haven't super kept up with Limp Bizkit. I just thought that they dropped that video, and like I was immediately turned off by it. And to be honest, I was kind of immediately turned off by this Starset clip until like I was jumped into the comments and people, because it struck me as so odd that like Starset would engage with this. And then I saw some of the comments and I was like, okay, well, I guess this makes sense.
Degenerate seems like an okay song. I don't know if I like it as much as Brave New World, but I am excited for whatever comes of both of these tracks.
You made a good point. Like, I need some time alone with the song where I'm not thinking about everything that's surrounding it or like watching this fucking disgusting ass music video. I really hated the video. So it's like, in some sense, it's like you've done an astoundingly good job of making your point. And then, like, to be fair, I actually already felt this way about AI, so I don't know that I needed this.
And
like, I needed no convincing personally.
The other sad angle to this is that you've also created a video I never want to watch again.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? It's like I saw it once and I was like, don't put me through that fucking bullshit again, please. I really wish they would announce a fucking album. I'm just so tired of this things bands do now where they drop like 5 singles before they announce an album's coming. It's like, we know. This isn't like a surprise. Like, just fucking tell me. And then like, does it have to be like day and date with your fucking like pre-order links going live? Like, do we have to figure out exactly what like the vinyl number is for each exclusive bear? Like, I don't know. Like, but this new fucking rollout format that bands are doing is so annoying. It's just like, tee, we have an album coming, but you don't know about it yet. Like, we know. We're aware. You're just making it annoying to get there. I hate it. Machine Gun Kelly has released I Think I'm Okay Sad version featuring Yungblud.
I guess it's just my life and I can take it if I wanna, but I can't hide in hills of California because these hills have eyes and I got paranoia. I hurt myself sometimes. Is that too scary for you?
The song reimagines 2019's I Think I'm Okay, which also featured Yungblud in addition to Blink-182's Travis Barker. The new reimagine is featured on Hotel Diablo Floor 13 edition, a re-release celebrating day and date. It dropped today. 5 years of Hotel Diablo, including additional sad versions, demos, and live tracks. You might argue this is a companion record. The original album debuted at number 5 on the Billboard Top 200 Albums chart at the time of its release with an equivalent 39,000 units sold. Ironically, it was like the step before Machine Gun Kelly's breakout record. And this was almost the taster for Machine Gun Kelly's pop punk era.
Yeah, on an album that doesn't actually feature that much pop punk.
It really doesn't. No, I think this song was like, it's like equivalent to a pop punk track, even though this is kind of like an alt rock thing. And like the combination of having Yungblud in there maybe speaks a little bit to like the influence of him as an artist. But all that being said, we know where we went from there. Machine Gun Kelly has experienced additional success recently, Marcus, with hit cover of Zach Bryan's Son to Me, which has exceeded 2.4 million views on YouTube in just over a week. Machine Gun Kelly currently sits at 13.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
Which is below Bring Me the Horizon.
What?
And Chase Atlantic.
Are you pitting them against, like, what exactly is your angle here?
No angle. Just
feels angled.
No angle.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting note. That's kind of why I include these numbers, to kind of give people a general idea of where a band or an artist sits. So I like the point of comparison.
When I heard Son to Me, I did not realize that was a cover. With that context, it makes total sense. It's a cover.
A lot of people are saying Machine Gun Kelly dipping his toes into a country era, similar to a lot of popular artists right now. Beyonce, for example.
Posty,
for example.
Bill Murray.
Falling in reverse, I suppose, to some degree. How'd you feel about the reworked version of I Think I'm Okay?
Listen, that song is still wonderful.
It was a slapper on day one.
And it's a slapper on day...
5 times
we're in the thousands.
365.
It's like 1649.
Somewhere in like the slightly 1700 range.
Yeah. Still holds up for me, and I actually really like this saddened version. It's such a stupid...
Did you feel like it was efficiently sad? I hate the naming convention as well, but like
I actually really
we're gonna
enjoy
play
it.
You enjoy the naming convention
when you reference it as the saddened version.
Oh, I see. Kind of like blackened death
right.
metal, like saddened
death
pop
metal.
punk. Yeah.
Like under that microscope.
Are we onto something here? Is MGK onto something?
I actually really enjoyed the accompanying video.
Yeah.
To it, which had like a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
You remember how exciting it was?
The boys hanging out.
When Machine Gun Kelly first got into pop punk, how much like life it felt like it breathed into a genre that respectfully was sort of like pulsing out.
I think it brought the life back to Travis Barker's eyes.
It really did for a moment there. Yeah, certainly. It's a sweet video.
Are you going to check out the rest of this?
Probably not, to be honest with you. There's another sad version on there that I'm like curious to hear. I think it's called Glass Houses. Besides that, no, like, you know me, live songs. Nah.
Did you ever listen to Hotel Diablo in full?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
I'm almost positive we
read it. We did.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah, we did.
I didn't love it nearly as much as obviously Mainstream Sellout, which I was head over heels
Tickets
with.
to My Downfall.
Tickets to My Downfall, the album before Mainstream Sellout. Not good with album names. Fuck me up, bro. Calvin Luis has hit us with new track La Corriente. The new single follow-ups, April's Under the Skin vocalist Jess Atlantic shared the following on the new track. La Corriente is about escaping prefabricated opinions and judgments affecting our perception of self. Translated to the current in Spanish, it can mean...
I was so worried it was translating to the undertow for a second.
Hilarious if it did. It can mean the river current, but also figuratively, it can mean following someone's flow. By trying to be agreeable and trying to fit in, I let someone's current drag me away from my own self in the past. We're this close to undertow. It's so close to
fucking undertow. Close is why. Yeah.
Undermining my opinions and eventually feeling trapped in expressing myself. This song for me is regaining that power back, Marcos. And on the video for the press release, the music video for La Corriente is indirectly part of the sequel to Under the Skin, as the beginning of the prequel takes place in 1994. The day a young Johnny had to agree to become an apprentice to a commander coming from the fractal world. La Corriente takes place at the show where his fate is sealed, setting the tone of the story that will be unfolding in the next video, Marcos. This video was directed, as well as Under the Skin, and edited by Alonic. Calva Luis currently holds just shy of 109,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Calva Luis continued to impress.
This is a whole ass Spanish song.
It is.
Not a single moment of English.
You sure?
Positive, actually.
Right,
yeah, it's literally being billed as like this Spanish, period. Spanish, period. How'd you feel about this one?
Pretty happy with it.
Yeah, pretty content. I didn't like it quite as much as Under the Skin. Under the Skin
agree.
for me was a revelation.
A little disappointed it's not called the Undertow.
Sure. Because you feel like that's an easy win, right?
Yeah.
But I do like this energy where we can kind of come like at our music from any angle we want. It's like, hey, this song's fully in Spanish. That's what we're doing. It's like, I'm Spanish. This is how I'm presenting it.
Yeah. Of the singles, though, I agree, not my favorite, but still a worthy addition.
Under the Skin just had like this wild fucking hook, and like the electronics and shit was absolutely fucking insane. So La Corriente had like a lot to overcome for me to prefer it to that. Had that happened, this probably would have become like my most anticipated album, because theoretically we're getting one soon, even though the band they're not allowed to announce it yet. You got to give
fingers crossed.
It's 8 to 9 more weeks, and then they'll be able to announce it like everybody else. Let's review some albums and get the fuck out of here, Marcos.
The Breakdown.
Only One Mode by Speed.
When you show love, you can't look back. No game to guess it. I give it all away. I give it all, 'cause sacrifice may be this way.
This is the Sydney, Australia outfit's debut studio album, released, it's arriving actually, rather. The 12th of July via Flat Spot Records. Only One Mode consists of 10 tracks and is one of the most anticipated hardcore albums of the year.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
It feels like they've broken through a bit. Like if I'm on this podcast talking about Speed, where we very lightly tend to touch on hardcore only when it like crosses over, that says to me that Speed is a breakout.
We dabble. This is us dunking.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah. From a press release, Sam.
It's Eddie press release.
The 5-piece have coined the phrase "only one mode," so it's no surprise the band declares it as the title of this first full-length album. This is what they're about: hardcore, played hard, played fast. In quotations here, for us, by us, explicit, immediate, definitive, hinting at all the crucial bands that have come before them.
Hey, so it was like a tribute to like hardcore as like a genre.
Yeah, I think that this band, that is sort of their whole ethos, right? They are tributing something in some way at all times.
Live, die, breathe hardcore, though I feel like that's the approach that many hardcore bands tend to have.
True. The press release continues. Lyrics on Only One Mode. I feel like every time you say Only One Mode, you have to put up the one.
Okay.
Like you've got one of the members on the artwork putting up 1, 2.
Right.
I love the artwork to this. It's just everyone like sort of looking down at the camera.
It's the boys.
And then one guy's just got one, only one mode. There's not two. There's
one. That
one.
band has a really good energy. I would recommend, like, before we really get into it, go watch any of their fucking music videos because they're incredibly watchable.
They're also like a minute long.
Yeah. Same length as the socks.
Lyrics on the album embrace perspectives, channeling everything from the loyalty and realness they've learnt from hardcore to some of the band's most vulnerable output yet. It's a manual that explains Speed's beliefs, the five guys' personalities, what they bring to the table, and what's special about their scene. The album was produced by Elliot Gallart, vocalist Jem's oldest high school friend. Jack Rutter, a longtime partner and collaborator, has directed all of Speed's music videos. The cover photo was taken by a prolific Australian hardcore photographer from the 2000s named James Hartley, a photographer that started when Speed first started going to shows as young kids, right?
It's kind of like tying everything you said earlier together.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're like, this is
everything is
like,
connected.
Respect to hardcore. Like we're talking about like this guy who was first here, like all of our longtime, everyone who's like involved in the culture. Like we're bringing them in here.
Yep. And lastly, this is a hardcore band from Australia who surpassed what they thought they might do at the start and has since doubled down. Only one mode, as fast and as hard as possible. Speed are doing what they do for the love of their friends, family, and the culture of Australian hardcore, which is like quintessential to everything that Only One Mode is.
It's the mantra.
In theory. And it's quintessential to what Speed are. So here we are, 10 tracks, Sam, the debut record from Speed. How are we feeling? What's the temperature?
I'm feeling good about this, to be honest with you. From its very opening moments where you get like a little bit of wind instrument, and this like hooks me immediately, because I think for me, the biggest barrier to entry for hardcore is that I prefer music that is generally a little bit more complex or inventive, which isn't a slight against hardcore, because I feel like so much of hardcore's ethos is that it's very simple and that they don't overcomplicate it and that it's very raw and it's all about the emotion and stuff like that. But when there's just like a little peppering of something extra, I find that I'm immediately drawn into it.
Just
so, like,
enough to latch on to.
Between that and then like the first task where we get the full-on like flute breakdown, like those were the hooks for me, in addition to the visuals, because like when I initially saw the video for Real Life Love, it really struck me as well. I think it communicated to me maybe better than the song itself how passionate these individuals were, or maybe the combination of two was just perfect.
I think also there seems to be an emphasis on gang vocals, which like they're present in hardcore music, but I feel like this band really brings them to the forefront.
It feels like the melody in a hardcore song is gang vocals, right?
Right. And there's a lot of them to go around on this record, and that's definitely a draw for me as well. Like, I like gang vocals in general. This band does a lot of them. Like you're saying, they're being innovative in the sense that they're introducing maybe some instruments that we don't typically hear, really rarely ever have heard in this genre. And yeah, it's certainly innovative enough to grab my attention entirely, right?
Right, and I think that also explains why this band is seeing so much success and why they feel like they're breaking through to a larger audience. In the same way that Knocked Loose did before them, a band that they recently toured with here in the U.S.
Yeah. So I mean, I listened to this record and I'm just really impressed. This was an anticipated hardcore record for that genre, for that scene. But to me, it was like the anticipated hardcore record. I do not expect to check out too many hardcore albums this year. Speed demanded my attention.
Right. And you know, what's interesting is that like, I feel like that little bit of like coming in my direction gets me to walk much further in their direction as well, because suddenly I'm listening to something like Send Them to Sydney, which for me is like this quintessential idea of what hardcore was in my head, but I find myself much more drawn to it than I have been in the past. I'm like, yeah, keep it simple. Like, I love this fucking call out shit. I love the energy that we're bringing here, in the same way that like kind of Kill Cap has that as well. They're just like extremely aggressive. They're very abrasive, and there's no other like little flickering of anything else happening in the song outside of just that like fucking ground down bones of hardcore music. But it works for me in a way that it hasn't in the past, and I think that's because the band had done a little early on to get me hooked.
And talk about actually delivering on a mission statement. You tell me coming into this album that this one is extremely fast, it's really heavy, it's in your face, and it's all of that. And it's almost an understatement, right? This album doesn't let up from the opening notes until its end. And it makes for a really just quick listen, but a really demanding one as well. Like, it demands your attention. I keep coming back to that. Speed, for whatever reason, just demand my attention the entire time.
I think another part of the reason for that is that there's such emotion with everything that they're saying, and like they have a way of sort of like making me feel connected to them. So like when we're singing about this gang shit, like I feel like
Australian.
when we're talking about like when we're talking about like our love for one another, like as individuals, like what this lifestyle means to us, like I find myself really drawn in and connected to it in a way that I haven't in the past. So I think they do just an incredible job of like communicating all of these things. I don't think it's can be understated how successful this band is at bridging hardcore into a slightly more broad scene. And again, that's why I think I enjoyed this so much.
Love it. Yeah.
Marcos, we also checked out another fucking Australian band this week, Marcos.
Incarnation by In Heart's Wake. This is the Byron Bay, New South Wales, Australia's Outfits, sixth studio album, arriving the 12th of July via UNFT Records.
Are they from the same streets as Speed? I didn't catch earlier where exactly.
They're from a neighboring gang.
Okay, you're saying they're from the other side of the track.
Gang called In Heart's Wake, okay?
Metalcore and hardcore, always separated by like their affiliations.
Right. Incarnation consists of 11 tracks and is the follow-up to 2020's Caligula LP. It's not Caligula. Caligula LP.
Caligula.
And more importantly, it's a conceptual sequel to their debut LP, Divination.
That's correct.
Important to note that this is the first In Heart's Wake record without longtime bassist and clean vocalist Kyle Eric, who departed the band earlier this year with one final farewell song entitled Farewell.
Which is featured on the album.
It's not.
Which is not featured on the album.
Which will not be included on this album when it officially releases, but was the final song after the intended closer Transmission on the advance we received on the record.
I had that in the back of my mind when I was listening to this. I was like, this feels slightly odd that we have these tracks that are all named a very specific way to wrote back into the concept, and then like 2 tracks also on this album, and I'm like, something's fishy here.
And I guess it might get officially released that way, but it's not intended as the actual closer. The band sells this as an 11-track album.
Okay.
Farewell would be the 12th song.
Not going to argue with you.
From the press release, in quotes here, the loss of a longtime member, a key voice of the band, a bit like a death, it actually gave us the ability to find the freedoms that we could explore, the entire shade of purple and the spectrums within that, vocalist Jake Taylor says. He continues.
Remember this quote for when we discuss this a little bit later.
Okay.
But notch this one in the back of your mind.
It's
listeners.
there. There was a whole element of the unknown and being on the other end of it. I see now that we had to be brave. We had to discover things in dark places, and that couldn't have been discovered any other way. There's a freedom in the feeling of wanting to get it right, wanting to be bold in our choices, but we also leaned into the bold ideas. At the end of the day, we could have just thrown in the towel, but we chose to throw it back, which just sounds funny, reading it out loud.
Right, like it's not like it's not literal.
Hey, throw it
it's
back.
Like, yeah.
That's what this record is.
You're saying it's saucy.
It's a little saucy. Taylor goes on to describe Incarnation as the shadow counterpart and sequel to the band's debut album Divination, with each song inspired by the meaning and ideals of a particular major arcana tarot card. There are 22 major arcana tarot cards in every deck and 11 tracks on each record, bringing the vision to completion 12 years later. That's where the 11-track thing came into play.
Yeah.
But much like a coin with 2 sides, cards flipped upside down deliver the reversed meaning, polarized in every way. Incarnation explores the dark underbelly to mirror and stand diametrically opposite to Divination. Seen through a classical mythology lens, Incarnation represents a catabasis for the band, a journey to a sonic and thematic underworld as part of their overall journey. Here, a journey of knowledge and exploration of the self. As such, there was a resounding feeling of evolution and graduation that has come with the making of this album, as In Heart's Wake found themselves reconnecting with contributors to the 2012 record, including guest vocalists like Parkway Drive's Winston McCall, For the Fallen Dreams, Chad Rulig, and the Color Morale's Garrett Rapp. One artist that featured on that first record that does not make it onto this one is Adrian, formerly of Northlane, who appears to still be retired from the scene.
He gave up the game.
He
threw in the towel.
The ties between the 2 records continue to knit together, and I end here, with both sharing production by Josh Schroeder and artwork designed by Johan Ingemar. And here we are with the end of this record here.
I need to know how you feel about this.
This record?
Yeah.
I think this is the most exciting In Heart's Wake have sounded since that Northlane EP.
Okay.
This is better.
EP was great. I'll agree with you.
This is better than Arc. This is better than Kali Yuga. Did anything happen between those records?
I mean, you had Divination.
I never heard Divination.
I never heard Divination either. That's a good one to notch.
So that's kind of the unfortunate thing heading into this review is
we have
never
no
made
context.
The time to gather that context around Divination. All I know about that album is it's green and this one is purple, and those are some pretty different colors, right?
And the artworks are kind of like similar, right? Like they each have like these
the same
animals.
artist, yes.
Yeah, but like also like they're meant to sort of tie together in some
one has like a deer
intentionally.
This one has like an owl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You really enjoyed this.
I had a pretty great time with this one. A couple of complaints right off the top. It's a little long. So you kind of feel its length a bit, but I also appreciate the whole, this is intended to be 11 tracks to capture all 22 tarot cards between the 2 albums thing. So I don't lose sleep over it.
I think if you're looking at an 11-track album and you're saying this feels a little long in the tooth, it's a problem.
No. It's there are short 11-track albums, and there are long 11-track albums because of like runtime of a song. Like, this is a longer record than that Speed record we just covered.
You didn't find this a little bland? Am I on an island on this one?
I
feel like on paper, we're coming into this, and remember that quote up top. We're exploring all of the shades of purple, whatever the fuck that means. And we're doing all these new things, and we don't have a vocalist anymore who used to be with the band.
You weren't complaining this much when Knocked Loose explained all the shades of blue.
Dog. Like, we're going to go crazy. Like, oh my God, dude, we're going to do all these things that In Heart's Wake has never done before. Like, literally everything I've ever heard on an In Heart's Wake album a million times over.
I take all of that with the asterisk that you should have, in that this is still In Heart's Wake. I'm familiar with In Heart's Wake's game.
Yes, but that is not how we were set up to receive this album. We were given, it was sort of like the implication here is that we might get something that was like a bit more dramatically different than what we've gotten in the past, because the pieces have been shaken up, right?
I mean, it is.
It's not the same game. Is it though? Because this felt like a relatively generic metalcore album in a way that I found the vast majority of it to not be terribly exciting. And I thought, well, In Heart's Wake had like this incredible opportunity that is like unfortunate in one way, but in some sense they get to reinvent themselves, and they just sort of choose to kind of keep doing what they've always been doing. And I find that like terribly disappointing. I think with context, I find this album very disappointing, even though there are songs on here that I enjoy.
I don't know if I agree at all. I think that, and again, this is all with the asterisk that I did not expect In Heart's Wake to come in here and actually reinvent the wheel, whether they were saying that in press releases or not.
Okay, so then I fell for the marketing.
I think you did.
But they were the ones who delivered that marketing, and you just seem to be smarter than the press releases. I'm stupid.
No, I came into this super cautious. Mostly because I think that Kyle was one of my favorite parts of this band.
He is missing desperately from this record, because for them to like sort of stick with their similar style, then all they've really done is remove one of the better pieces from it.
Well, it wasn't their choice in theory.
Sure, but it was their choice to go in this direction.
Heavier?
No. This is not terribly heavier than their last album in any capacity.
I don't know if it isn't or is, but I do think that there are some heavier elements that I did appreciate and that I did find truly heavy.
I appreciated and still appreciate heavier elements of In Heart's Wake.
This band is literally using bones as instruments at times.
That's a neat idea.
Hollow bone.
And that was a single. Is that on the rest of this album? Is that creativity? Is that experimentation on the rest of this album? And I've simply just overlooked it? Like, help me out here.
It's around. Like, I like that. I also think that this band doesn't play it all too seriously at times, in a way that I appreciate. Like, there are songs that just end with like, oh, and that's the song. Like, they're like, you hated that. You're a hater, dude.
I'm not just
this
a hater
is not
in general.
the album
it just
for
feels
you.
out of place. It doesn't make sense in this album. Like, I feel like nothing about this album feels like a joke, but
there's
then
like
randomly
some cool
at the
robot
end of the
voice
song,
saying
it's like
Kingslayer.
It's like, oh, we're talking about the fucking end of the planet, and we're talking about like the same shit that we've been talking about for ages now, which is like, honestly, I sort of commend the band for it, because I do like that they take this sort of like pro-nature approach, and that they do feel very committed to getting a message across.
I mean, they're very about it. So in the press release, there were a bunch of words about how the flood came to be, which is the song that features Winston at Parkway, and I don't remember exactly where the flood took place. I believe it was Australia, but Winston McCall happened to be there helping with cleanup. And so was In Heart's Wake. One of the members happened upon the guy. Just, they caught up for a minute before going back on their ways. And then as sort of this album's coming together, they're just like, I just saw Winston recently. Like, what if we fully commit to making this album sort of a symmetrical piece to the other one? Like, let's get Winston on this song. So like, I like things like that. Again, I really
Did you
think
like
that,
Winston's feature in The Flood?
Yeah.
I found it a bit forgettable.
I don't love the energy you're coming at this album.
I desperately wanted to like this album as part of the problem. Again, I feel like I was being set up for something that could be extraordinary.
So hold on, pause. But no, pause. Do you find this more exciting than Arc? Do you find it more exciting than Kali Yuga?
I like this better than Kali Yuga. I do not like it better than Arc.
I think this is the best this band has sounded in a long time.
That's where Kyle is missing. Like, his hooks in Arc, I thought helped sell that album. His hooks being missing from this, with the exception of whatever bonus song Farewell, which I actually quite like, by the way, like a song that's just kind of like just him. I actually thought ended up almost working better than the vast majority of this album.
Hearing it in the advance, it was like, oh damn, this is what this album's been missing. Which again is to say it's not a perfect record, but I did have a great time. I think Spitting Nails is a good generic way to start. No,
but it's got the right. You didn't think it had like at least the right energy. I feel like
that's what I'm getting at.
Starting this album, I felt good, right? Like Spitting Nails into Hollow Bone.
No. That's what I'm getting at. Is I think that this record has the right energy all around. It doesn't have great songs top to bottom, but the energy is right, which is what I appreciate.
But don't you crave more?
Again, I know who In Heart's Wake are, regardless of if they've lost a member or not.
Here's what I like. I thought Orphan was great. I thought they're doing a lot of interesting stuff with like the production on Orphan, and I thought that literally explodes from the
Shishigami.
Shishigami, I also thought was very good. Kato from Pale Dust being on there is incredibly beneficial, and I thought Shell Shock, because Garrett has been such a like unicorn in this scene ever since the Color Morale disappeared, was also a standout.
I like how Transmission evolves. I don't know, Sam. I don't love the energy you're coming at this record with.
I think this record ended up being a little bland, to be honest. And I think it will end up being one of the more forgettable releases of the year. And I think that is unfortunate, because In Heart's Wake, again, had a real opportunity to come out here and be more experimental and to reinvent themselves. And I feel a bit as if they chose to reel it in and do more familiar than untraditional. And I think that is to their detriment. And we ended up with an album that feels run of the mill, that feels like it could have come out any year from this band at any point in the continuity of metalcore itself. And I really just sort of look at this album and I don't envision myself revisiting it. And I think that is telling, even if there's 2 or 3 songs that I found enjoyable.
I think it's a pretty solid In Heart's Wake album.
Okay. Those are your albums coming out the Friday that you're listening to this. So get excited or don't, depending on where we stand on the records. Obviously, we were pretty in line with Speed, and maybe a little more torn on In Heart's Wake.
In Heart's Wake does feature King 810.
So there you go.
So maybe that's why
I take everything I said back.
Maybe that's why it was polarizing for Sam.
Raging success. Hey, we made an episode out of what felt like a pretty slow week, and I'm feeling good about it. How about you?
Feeling great about it.
If you felt all right about it, leave us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify, a thumbs up on YouTube, comment about absolutely anything down below, because it helps with the algorithm, of course, obviously. And we love you, and we'll see you in a week.
Good boy.